is hip shakingly good. Like that is a silent assassin. An exciting one today because it is the latest release in the Heaven Hill Heritage Collection, an 18-year Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. This is one of Heaven Hill's 2 ultra premium yearly releases. Contrast these releases, which come out in the spring, with Parker's Heritage, which comes out in the fall. Parker's Heritage is where they're really experimenting and having a bit of fun. This is traditional old whiskey, so keep that in mind. This entire release came from 133 barrels, all of which were laid down in December 2005. Do you remember what you were doing in December 2005? I don't, or at least I'm too embarrassed to say. When they dumped the barrels for this batch, it was over 150 proof. Over 150 proof! They have diluted this down to a much more manageable, but still palate-tingling 120, which is what it is bottled at. Would I try this at 150 proof? Yes. Would I make any other plans that day? No. Just being clear there. We don't know the exact bottle count, but we do know that everyone who wants one of these bottles is probably not going to get one of these bottles. Suggested retail's 300. I would expect on a lot of retail shelves, especially here in New York, where everything's expensive, to see a bit of a retail markup, maybe even 3 to 4 times the suggested MSRP. Let's try it out. And on the nose, this smells like a really good Elijah Craig barrel proof. Caramel, nougat, toffee, a little semi-sweet chocolate, like a baking chocolate. I get cedarwood, like if you get some Elijah Craig's, like Elijah Craig 18, I get cedarwood on this. And there's honey sweetness too. Like honey kind of has this nice undercurrent here. It's a really balanced nose, and I will say at 120 proof, it's plenty strong and plenty bold, but certainly not over oaked. Yeah, lavender and rosemary, kind of under those sweeter notes, like the caramel, the honey, the nougat, and some of that chocolate. You take that first sip and it's this like subtle sweetness, this like lovely subtle sweetness. It's like, no, we're here. We're just playing around. I didn't get a ton of fruit on the nose, but now I'm getting more fruit on the palate. I'm getting a little orange. I'm getting like lemon drop candy. Oh my goodness, that is very mouthwatering. It's so sweet. Not too sweet though, because some of that fruit is a little tart. The citrus kind of balances that out a little bit. Oh man. So it's really sweet, really fruity, gets to the mid palate, and then the oak kind of settles in. A little leathery, a little more tannic. Like actually a little thinner on the mouthfeel than I expected, which is not a bad thing because it's still carrying all the flavor, but I was maybe expecting more viscosity. They did proof this down quite a bit from over 150 to 120, so that has something to do with it. The spice hits the upper palate and then back of the palate. It's not necessarily a baking spice. It's not so cinnamon forward like I would get on like an Elijah Craig barrel proof necessarily, depending on the batch. It's kind of white pepper with a little bit of citrus zest. Almost a lemon pepper, if you will. Plenty of oak there. Finished mouthfeel, but there is a fattiness to this. It's not buttery. It's actually like olive oil, okay? This tastes like eating spiced olive oil cake, all right? If you didn't think my tasting notes could get weirder, they just did. It's like fruit and fruit candy, and it switches to spiced olive oil cake, and I really like this. I really like this. There's a lot of oak on the finish here. There's also spice, some of that like white pepper spice. The finish makes you realize why they proofed this to 120, because there is plenty of hug in the back there on the way down, that Kentucky hug. And then there's this freshness. There's a little bit of minty freshness, a little bit of citrus freshness. That lemon comes back, maybe a little bit of fresh pear as well. It's refreshing enough in balance with the oak that's inviting you back for another sip. Look, I do wish the mouthfeel on this were slightly thicker, right? I wanted a slightly more viscous mouthfeel, but the fact is it's not weighing me down on the finish. It's long, but it's not like clogging up my palate so much that I can't keep tasting new flavors and that I can't keep getting the same great experience from subsequent sips. So there's a pro and a con to that slightly lighter mouthfeel. This is a 97 for me. I'm gonna be honest, I really like this. I think Heaven Hill is hitting their stride with the series. I think it does exactly what they mean it to do. It leans in to the traditional aging techniques. It leans into their traditional bourbon mash bill, but it showcases great balance at 18 years. If you get to try this, I wanna know your thoughts in the comments below. Until then, I'm David Thomas Tao for VinePair, drinking the whiskey so you can too. That's a tagline.